Hi guys, Nigel here, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and yes, we've got yet another Trumpeter review for you, and we've gone back to our Russian stuff. So this is the S300 9A83 surface-to-air missile launch system. You've also got the 9A82, which is the one with the two fatter missiles. These missiles are called the Gladiator, and then you've got the two big ones, which are called the Giant. That's the NATO names, and it's SA-12A for this one and SA-12B for the other one. 47 tons total weight, introduced in 1988, 3 crew. This one, the Gladiator, is designed to defend against ballistic missiles, cruise missiles and aircraft. Engagement of 47 miles and altitude of around 20 miles. There's also a 9A84 and 9A85 respectively launch and loader, which Trumpeter are also doing, which the loader doesn't have the radar on it. So this is known as a telar, which is basically a transporter, erector and radar, and then you've got the launch loaders, which are called LLVs, and then together they work in 6 or 8 or 12 or whatever. And then they'll also have a radar system as well, which is a tracking radar called the 9S32. This is actually engagement radar. This is called the grill pan, and then you've got the 9S32 radar, which again Trumpeter are also releasing. So you could actually build a proper field-based anti-missile defense system, you know, based in Russia or Ukraine or something, wherever these are deployed. China make this as well in their own variant. I think it's called the HQ85. So no doubt Trumpeter will release that one, and that really is about that. It's the chassis is based on the 2S7 which again is a Trumpeter model. There's 2 variants of that beautiful kit. Which is basically made up of T72 and T80 chassis components. The engine in this is the V84 turbo diesel, and it's 840 horsepower, so it comes out of a T90. So this is a proper sort of mishmash of parts from other Russian vehicles. There is a later version known as the SA-23, which I think is the s300v, and that has much bigger range, higher altitude, bigger range for engagement and also for radar and everything. So let's have a look inside this box. I'm going to do this review a little bit differently. I asked the question about how you'd like the reviews done, and I've had 1 or 2 responses. So I'm going to change my way I do things. So we're looking inside the box here. Everything is still bagged up. We've got in here we've got our typical Trumpeter tools adverts, which is there. Then we've got our pamphlet showing us what's coming out. Here we've got November 18 to January 19. I actually bought this a few weeks ago on Amazon. It was like £53 or something. Worth looking at on Amazon. I paid 63 for this from Amazon, and it retails for like 110, I believe. Amazon seem to be putting their kits up, and once they've sold a couple, they tend to sort of reduce them until they sell out. So it's a bit of a gamble. You've got to hit them exactly at the right time when you think they're going to be at their lowest. So well, yeah, we've got 2 S3-4 here, and we've got some 350th scale aircraft going on in there. So and there's on this side we've got this model itself. So we've got the instructions, which is usual Trumpeter stuff. We've got the colour callouts, which is something I'm noticing Trumpeter are doing a lot now. But Bear Hobbies did a review of that Brem 1 that I did, and sort of I hadn't noticed, but yeah, Trumpeter keep just doing the same camouflage schemes on all their kits. The other thing I've noticed they're doing, they don't tell you anything about any unit, where it was used, what period you're looking at. You know, whereas everyone else will say such and such division based in, I don't know, Kiev, blah 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 blah. Nothing. All they've got is green, and then there's a green, brown and black version. And here we've got the radar. They're showing it here as a colour green, H309, which is absolutely fine. And you've got your actual missiles there to be painted. But then when you actually look on here at the actual model, the green, the radar has actually got camouflage on it. So yeah, what's that all about? And then when we turn over the page, we've got the one here which is just all green, and we've got the launch tubes here shown in a light grey colour. Now I've seen these on the S300 PMUs, the wheeled versions, and I've seen them in all sorts of different guises. I've seen them looking kind of silver. I've seen them in like a very light blue. I've seen bands around them and different colours and everything. So do your research, have a look and see what's about, because Trumpeter aren't telling you anything. What they are giving you in here is a book. It says on the front you get a colour photo album. It's hardly an album, it's just a couple of pages. I forgot to tell you actually the kit number is 09519. So here we got some nice colour images here. And then we've got the see some detail shots of some areas with some brackets and some cabling and stuff, and yeah, all very nice. But be a little bit careful. I have had a look through this, and it does look like this is being displayed at a show or an arms fair or something, and this has been painted up for that event, because you can see when you look through here, like on this tyre, you can see there's loads of overspray on the tyre. So this has just been painted for this event. So I wouldn't be sort of strictly into this. It may not be correct. You can see there's overspray around the edges here. You see the chain's been painted. They've obviously given it a good steam clean. They just painted the whole thing. So it wouldn't be like that in real life. That would have some sort of lubrication on it, I'm sure, and be black and greasy. These rubber pipes, would they be painted? Would they be black? I don't know. As I say, do your research. Google is king. And there we can see it there with the radar sticking out of the back. So again, we can see here the radar is camouflaged, even though on here they're showing the radar as just being green. Research is king. Kit itself, I've made some notes here. As you can see, it's lovely, beautiful packaging with the usual sort of you know, the box to keep things separate, and it's keeping the sprues apart to save them bashing about. We've got the foam in here, foam protecting the small parts. We've actually got 23 sprues of grey plastic, one clear. Trumpeter say it's got 1,231 parts. I've counted up, I make it 1,234, but never mind. So you've got whole top, whole bottom, 4 off missile bodies, 4 off missile tails, 4 off missile midsections, and 4 off missile launch tubes, which are here obviously in one-piece mouldings. Track links come on 48 links per sprue, and there's 5 sprues, so that gives you 240 links, and there's 186 required. If you're interested in aftermarket, I've had a look. Trumpeter make workable track links, and it's 02063, you get 184 links, so you're going to be 2 links short, unfortunately. Frul do metal track links for it. I only get 180 links in there, so you're going to be 6 links short. Now you could decide to leave the upper row of tracks off because you can't see them, but I don't think this comes down very far, and you might be able to look up and see up in there. Even with these, I always tend to include the upper track run anyway. But yeah, and the reason I've looked into this, the wheels are actually from their T80 kit, so the wheels and tracks are the same as the T80, which is the same as the 2S19. So that's that great big howitzer. So we've also got 2 PE frets, which Trumpeter is saying is 70 parts. We've got 180mm of 1mm brass cable, which is it's not just brass rod, it's brass, it's like miniature cable. We've got die cut masks, and we've also got a sheet of decals. So in the box here we can see we've got all the sprues here, as I say, beautifully packaged, typical Trumpeter style, all the separate parts here going on, and then we've got all our wheels down there. And then in this box here, just wait for the lid to come off, we have got, in here we've got our four actual missiles. Here's our radar, there's our photo etch frets, clear sprue, and then we've got the main upper hull, lower hull with our brass cable, or copper cable should I say, missile rear sections, front or back of the radar there, and then we've got our decal sheet, which is pretty generic, we'll have a look at that in a minute, and we got our masking. So all in all, lots and lots of kit, and for £63, an absolute bargain. And that's something to be careful of as well. Put your decals face down. Yeah, £63 from Amazon, absolute bargain. As soon as I bought it, I went back on, and the price went straight back up to 88, which is still very cheap. Compared to what, you know, you pay more than £70 in the UK on eBay to have it imported from China. So Yeah, really, really good. So what we'll do, we'll get this out of the way. I'll get the instructions out, sort the lighting out, and we'll have a good look through the instructions. Okay, so we've got our standard sort of Trumpeter A4 size booklet here with health and safety and notes here for the newer modelers among us. And then we've got our legends here, which is bits and pieces telling us what to glue and not glue, and photo etch and add weight and stuff like that. And then down here we've got our instructions for decal application. If you are new to the hobby, go and have a look on YouTube, have a look at some builds. There's lots and lots of hints and tips on decal application. It's one of those things you only really get one chance, so it's best to get it right from the start. So 20 pages, 24 steps. And as you can see, the last step is just basically showing it open or closed. Looking through the instructions, it looks like everything is sort of made movable, so you could actually store it like this and display it like this if you wanted to. It's not all just telling you to fix everything like that crane on that Brem 1. So straight into the instructions, and we've got our sprue map here, and as you can see, we've got lots and lots of mirrored sprues, 5 of them, 2 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them, 2 of them. So yeah, lots of repetitiveness, but I think it should overall be a very enjoyable build because it will come together quite quickly. It's a big old beast. So straight into the build, we're starting off by assembling all our wheels. As I said, these are T80 wheels and idlers. So if you've got wheels and tracks and aftermarket stuff already, you could use it on this. But the trouble is, the T80 only had 6 wheels and this has got 7, so you may get stuck. So straight into the assembly here, lower hull, we're adding up the mountings for our return rollers there, and then building up shock absorbers. And as you can see, the front 2 and the rear axle have the shock absorbers on. Then these are the hubs for the idlers. Now, if I were you, I would be tempted to not glue this in, or not glue U45 to U40. Don't glue U40 in, because then what you've got is the option then to be able to adjust to the tracks. I've talked about this before, but in case you haven't seen my reviews, you'll see it when I'm building the book. I've done it on that one. Quite often when you've got these length and length, not length and length, but the individual track links, you glue them together and say it's 95 track links, and you get this lovely sag that you're looking for. I think there's a picture of it over the page here. Oh no, that was on a different kit. So you've got your, whatever it is, 93 links here, and you're after this sort of perfect run. And what you find is 94 links makes it too saggy, 93 links is much too tight. So it's best to leave the idler here. You can see it's off center, so it's got a pivot on it. Glue that into there, but don't glue that into there yet. And then what you can do is adjust the idler to get the perfect track fit. Especially if you use workable tracks. So that's my little tip for today. And then going over the page, we've got basically the same thing here on the other side. So so that's all our suspension arms, shock absorbers and everything going in there. And as you can see, all very well detailed. It's not workable suspension, and something I did read when I was looking on the internet about this kit, somebody built it and they said the actual arms, when you fit them on, they've got a lot of play in them. So my advice would be to get a strip of wood or a couple of plastic strips or whatever, get the ride height set correctly, and then you can put it down on the bench and you can put your arms in and get them all absolutely dead level, and make sure that everything is all square. And you also need to check that your hull isn't warped, and if it is, you need to glue the top and the bottom together before you start putting the arms in. So over the page here, we're adding our wheels, and it's telling us to glue the wheels on. I wouldn't do that now. I would build up the rest of the model first, paint them separately, and then add them on at the end. And here we've got our tracks. You can see we've got separate horns going onto separate track links, and then gluing them all together on these jigs. These jigs are generally not good because they're made of plastic, so when you run your extra thin down, they sort of stick to them. What I've done in the past is covered it with tin foil, or just sort of make your own. Then we're on to the interior. As you can see, it's got a beautifully detailed interior. I'm not sure how accurate or complete it is. I've struggled to find any pictures, to be honest, of the interior, but I've seen that it's, you notice there's no colour call-outs here. It looks like the interior would be like a very, very light grey colour. Somebody said that it was the same sort of colour as a radar operator's area, so something worth looking into. If there's any available images, please put some links in the comments below, should I say. Now we're going to build up the radar, so it's a bit sort of to and fro here. So we've got the radar here which lifts up. It's worth noting on the 9A82, the one with the 2 giant missiles, the radar doesn't actually lift up, it just sits on top of the cab. So yeah, we've got the radar here, and it's, as you can see, we've got all these little pivots and everything, and it's saying don't cement, so everything is positionable and movable, so you can actually build this model to, if you're going to take it to shows, you can fold it all up, stash it away in a shoebox or something. When you get there, get it all out, open it up, make it all look lovely. We've got more cab interior here, got the instrument panel, PE parts for the inside, we're drilling holes up here, more details inside, more PE parts for all the radio boxes and everything. And yeah, like I say, it would be a really nice touch if you could find some reference material for this and build this with the doors open, because it really is nice to see such a lot of detail inside that cab. So then we're going to glue our PE on here. We're going to glue the PE onto the back. We've got the mesh grills there. And then we've got the hatches here, more hatches and stuff going on, more bits of PE. I think that's going to be a little tie down or handles or some sort of thing. And then we've got more parts going on here, more greeblies and bits and pieces, more grills. We've got these grills going on the side now. The top of these are made up of PE, so you could give them a bit of texture, a bit of a dent or whatever. And it's telling you to add the clear windows in now and also add the masks. So you may decide to do that now, you may decide to leave that to the end. So over the page here, we've got little support then legs for the, that looks like it's the stowed position, the radar or the missiles, not sure which is which. Got a plate going on the top of the cab there, so no doubt that's going to have some lovely detail on it. And then we've got all our other bits and pieces of greeblies going on, and you can see once again we've got more PE going around these vents, so that's a nice touch. It's going to look very much to scale. And then we've got some interior and exterior door handle, which is a nice touch as well. And then these on the front here, these bumpers with these marking arms that come out, or that would come out, but don't on this one, on the kit. Some ducting there, which is nice. Oops, I've missed a page. And then we're into our ram for the actual, or 2 rams here for the actual elevated missile launch tubes. And again, we've got the interior and exterior detail on there. This is building up now the actual launch mechanism, and this is going to go onto the back pivot. You can see we've got pivots down here, and we've also got the hydraulic rams going into those cylinders we added here, and that's going to glue on and be able to move. Now we're going to add the radar down to the top. Again, all this is going to be positionable. Ladder on the top of the cab there, as we can see. Right, so here we go into step 19, and we're going to build up the rest of our launching system. And we can see here we've got our chains being added. These are the chains we saw in the manual earlier with the paint and everything on them. But I have just noticed here that we've got 2 separate parts here, different parts. We've got the chain in its extended position and a chain in the lower position. One is open, one is closed. And when we look over the back here in the instruction manual, we can see that if we look at the position of the back end of the tube, the bottom of the tube there, you can see how far it is away from the actual, from the back of the launching mechanism. Whereas here you can see it's flush. So obviously what it does, it tilts up and then lowers down. So you'd either have to use a bit of ingenuity or something and make it so that it can lower down. If you look at the Hobby Boss PMU, that one is actually positionable, but I don't think it has these chains. So something I have to look into when we come to building it, if we do. And then we've got the rest of this going together, which is going to look stunning because it's all tubular. You're going to have to get your sanders out and get rid of all these seams, the mold seams on there, make it all look really, really nice and tubular rather than 2 halves of plastic molded together. And you can see here we've got these cylinders with the wheels on the end. They're telling you not to cement them, and it's the same here with these. You don't cement these in. So basically this is all going to move up and down, but we'll have to see what this is going to cause it to do. And also I've looked in the reference manual, and I can see that on these pulleys here it looks like cable, not chain. I've had a good look, it's difficult to see, but again, more reference work. There should be some cables or something on there, I think. Well, there should be something on there. It's either cable or chain. Now we've got our 4 missiles to build up here. So we've got the tail end, the midsection, and the actual rocket itself. And then we've got the option here to have these open or closed. So you can display your missiles with the fins open or closed. Now, if you notice, nowhere in the instructions does it tell you what to do with your missiles once you've built them. I think it would have been nice if Trumpeter had given us a little frame or something to stand them on, so you could have a couple of missiles displayed next to it, but then it wouldn't take much to knock something up. So yeah, it's nice they've got them in there, but not quite sure what you're going to do with them, because if you put them in the tubes, you're not going to see them, because the tubes are always sealed up. The top pops off as soon as it launches, so you would never realistically see the missile inside the tube, and the missile would never be transported without the tube. So really, it's just for display purposes. So you could just not build them and build the just build the launch tubes. So there we go. We've got our launch tubes here, and we've got the doors. They're telling us not to cement the ends on, so you could actually have the doors open and closing if you like. This is going to be the bottom end, this is going to be the top end. It does look, actually, I said about the ends blowing off, it looks like they actually open rather than blow off. I did see some reference pictures, and these top covers were red, so you could add a bit of interest and colour to it there. But yeah, same as usual, building up the tubes from a single slide moulded part. We just have a little bit of seam removal, job done, which is nice of them. So they're going to look really, really nice when they're all together. Then we've got all these greeblies going on here, and this is going to be all the mechanism that holds the tubes in place. Now, if this is anything like the PMU version, you should be able to actually slot the tubes in and out. But we'll see, we won't know that until we actually build it, I'm afraid. But got our side skirts going on here. Then we're adding the actual launch mechanism there. Some foot plates on the back. Are they photo etched? No, they're actually a plastic part. We've got some steps here and some other tools and that going on here. Then we've got some more steps and stuff going on the back. It's telling us to make up our cable here that's going to go along the side. So that's just a straight run. That's going to be easy enough. Then we've got like an antenna base or something on there. It'd be good to add a piece of fine wire or something to that. Have it stood up as an antenna. And then adding on the tubes. And as I say, I'm not sure if they're going to be mountable or need to be glued on or whatever. And that's it. Going over the page, we've got the display with it open and closed. So as I say, bit of ingenuity required to make this go up and down if you're going to display it accurately in both modes, or just build it with it in this mode, and then when you fold it up, the missiles will be sticking out, but you're not going to be able to display it accurately with the in the closed position or in the folded up position. So there we go. That's our look through the instructions. Hope it was obvious that I've actually looked through the kit and had a look at what everything is, made it a bit more sort of understandable for you, rather than the, oh, I'm not sure what that is, and this is a wheel and it's actually a hand wheel or something. So what I'm going to do now is get all the plastic out of its bags, and then we'll look through some sprues, and I'll give you some close-up of some of the detail parts. Okay, so here we go then. Finally, we're on to the good part, which is looking at all the sprues. So what I've done, I've unbagged the sprues. Anything that's mirrored, I haven't added more than one sprue into the mix. So we're basically going to see pretty much what we get in the kit, and I'll guide you through each sprue as we go. So this is Sprue X, and I'm just doing them, as I say, as they come out of the box in no particular order. And we can see we've got hydraulic cylinders here, which are slide molded, which is a nice touch. And then you've got the actual piston that's going to go inside those cylinders. And this sprue is mainly made up of radar parts. We've got the actual box there at the lower end. We've got our pivots for it here. The actual main radar dish is on another sprue, but looking in the instructions, the X sprue is basically making up all the radar parts. We've got some lovely crisp moulding here showing our recessed tin work, as you see on pretty much every Russian vehicle, and here you've got the raised tin work. So I'll just give you a quick close-up around that there. You can see we've got some lovely detail on there on that slide moulded box with basically 5 sides of detail, and then we've got the little greeblies and bits of mechanism and clips and clamps and all sorts going on here. And as you can see, some very nice crisp detail, which is what we'd expect from a pretty new tool. A little bit of flash down here, but nothing much to speak of. And then we've got our pivots here, all looking lovely. Backside, a few ejector pin marks and things, but all probably in invisible places. Kit this complex is hard to sort of keep up with what's going to be on display and what isn't. Next sprue, we get two of these. This is Sprue YG, and this is mainly all now the tubular frame for the actual launch mechanism, and the four missiles in their tubes mount onto this framework. If you remember in the instructions we saw that, and what we're looking for here is minimal seam cleanup, and it looks like Trumpeter have done us proud. What you don't want to see on here with stuff like this, with tubular parts, you don't want to see great big seams along the edges when it's all painted and weathered. It really takes away from the authentic look of the model. There's a little foot plate there with some lovely raised pressing. You know, no need for photo etch there. It's lovely. Little bits and greeblies, little bits and pieces. Looks like some sort of torsion bar there. And then again, as I say, we got, this is all basically parts that go up, and there's sort of two halves to this. And then on reverse side, we've got some ejector pin marks in here, but I think they're going to be invisible. But even if we do need to get rid of them, it looks as though they are slightly raised. So give you a close-up looking at that seam detail, and we can see that it's pretty much non-existent. It's very nice indeed, very beautifully moulded. So thank you very much for that, Trumpeter. Where's that foot plate? There we go, that tread plate there. You can see it's got some lovely detail on there. Really nice. That looked great with a painted green and then dry brush with some silver or chipped or whatever. Next up we have Sprue U, and we get two of these as well. Now here we've got pulleys for our launch mechanism, and then we've got shock absorbers here. Little bits and pieces of hooks and handles and greeblies. You can see some door handles there. There's some little lights, a shackle. That looks like a pivot mounting for a road wheel. We've got a hydraulic piston there. These are all vents, cooling vents, access hatches, idler wheels by the look of it. So maybe we don't use the idler wheels from the T80 kit, as I said earlier. And then we've got all sorts of little bits and pieces. There's a guard there looking very nice. Little very tiny windscreen wipers, which do look extremely lovely. I'll give you a close-up in a second. More shock absorbers there, and as I say, handles, bars, rods, levers, all very finely moulded. Bit of flash on this sprue, but nothing really too much to worry about. And again, we got these pulleys here which are beautifully slide moulded, and the actual sprue connection is on the face, so that's really nice. So you'll cut these off and then you can sand the face, and that leaves the actual groove that the cables or chains or whatever run in will be lovely. So let's have a look at them. You can see they're beautifully moulded, really nice, really crisp and clean. Shock absorbers, as I say, a bit of flash on the mould seams and stuff. Bit of flash over here on this handle, you can see there, but you know, it's all about modelling. It's bits of flash and nothing really to worry about. Again, we've got another hydraulic cylinder there which is slide moulded, which is really nice. You haven't got two halves to glue together. So yeah, all in all, when I build this, I will I think I'll replace these with metal rod, as I did on the SA12 gadfly, SA11 sorry, gadfly on the Book. So yeah, spare track links there. There's those ones that go under the cab. But see some bolt detail there on those hatches. Yeah, very pleased. Very nice indeed. Very nice indeed. So this one is Sprue YF, and we actually get 4 of these. And you can see here we've got our missile launch tubes. We've got the end caps, more parts of the launch mechanism here. So let's say 4 of these, and then these are all the radial bolt flanges that go around the tubes to add all that really impressive detail. And more parts here. Again, this is all concentrating on the launch tubes and the launch mechanism. And if you remember, we talked about these chains in the raised and lowered positions. We can see the difference in them there. But the actual chain detail looks quite nice. It doesn't look very accurate. It's just sort of square lumps by the look of it, but maybe that's how it is in real life, I don't know. But there's no real proper chain link detail there, but I'll show you that close up in a second. That piece there is lovely, lots of detail around that, really, really nice. And I believe this is the back of the actual missile itself. This is the exhaust end of the missile. But yeah, really, really nice. Looking for mould seams in these areas here, and again, nothing really much. Just a quick swipe over with a sanding sponge and they should be gone. And as I say, these chains, you can see there's no real proper, will it focus, no real proper chain link detail on there, but you know, there's detail there nonetheless. As I say, this part here is very nicely moulded. We've got our end, the front end there. There's the door, and then there's the back end, I believe. And then on the insides of these, we've got ejector pin marks in this one. Nothing in that one, which is a nice touch, because I believe that is the top door. So you could display it with that open if you want to. I've still been looking at reference shots and videos on YouTube, and it's hard to see if they actually open or pop off. So you can do your own research and look for that. And here we've got the fins. These are for the back of the missiles. And as I say, we've got 4 of these, so lots and lots and lots of parts. Then we've got here, we've got our track sprue. Really nothing much to talk about here. They're just simple independent link tracks that you glue together. You get a jig here to glue them on, but it's not always a good idea to use that, because 9 times out of 10 you actually end up gluing the track to the jig. Sometimes better to use a piece of wood or something like acrylic that the glue won't actually stick to. So yeah, nothing really much to write about them. You actually get 5 of these sprues. So there we go. I've managed to box another one of these YF sprues, so I'll just get that one out of the way. That's what we just looked at. And then finally, from the big side of things, after this, it's all small sprues. This is Sprue S. We only get one of these, and this is pretty much mainly dealing with the actual hull of the thing. We've got the rubber side skirts here, as you can see. We've got cab detail here. It looks like this is the floor and this is the bulkhead. Instrument panel. We've got some radio boxes, some more control boxes over here, and then we've got the gearbox end covers for the actual sprockets. We've got our doors here. Looks like these are steps, and these are the, whatever they are, they go on the front. It looks like they probably pivot out, but in the model they're actually moulded in one piece. I'm not exactly sure what they are. They look like markers or something, like you see on some vehicles. They have markers coming off of the front fenders, so they can judge the width going through narrow spaces. But no, all in all, we've got some mountings here for our idlers. If you remember, I said about gluing those together, but don't glue the actual pivot in. Very nice indeed. We've got a bit of a texture on there on the floor, but yeah, all very clean, crisp, and unbelievably it doesn't feel very oily. We'll just show you the detail on there on that bulkhead. That's really nice. We've got the detail on the floor. You can see the ribbed flooring there, again there, some steps, and then we've got the clamps and everything on the rubber side skirts there, which is extremely nicely moulded. Bit of a theme going on here. Right, let's now move on to the small end of the box. This is Sprue ZJ or ZJ if you're in the across the other side of the Atlantic. We get one of these. This is obviously our main radar, so that's going to go together. I'm guessing that's going to sit inside there. We've got some ejector pins in there which have been snapped off. No doubt they're going to need a clean up. Yeah, because they've come up onto the actual, if you look, this is going to mount inside there, and they've actually come up onto that face, so there's a bit of clean up going to be required in there. But this is the plate that sits on top of the cab, so hoping it sits that way up. Yes, it does. You can see the marks there where the ladder is going to go. And then we've got some more little access doors here with the little moulded on ejector tabs rather than having ejector marks, although they've got ejector marks in them as well. So but not to worry, they're on the inside. Lovely conduit there, beautifully moulded. That's going to look lovely. So yeah, all in all, very, very nice. Now we come on to this sprue here, which is HZ or HZ or ZH. ZH it is actually. One of these, you can see we've got the individually moulded ladder that goes on top of the cab. That's going to be front or rear panel. Then we've got the these are the actual main pivot parts of the loading mechanism, and then this is going to be the sort of frame the loading mechanism sits down on. But yeah, again, lovely detail. Show you some of the bolt detail on there. Very, very nice. Very crispy, very sharply moulded. Very good. Getting near the end now. This sprue here is sprue A, and this is what you will find in a T80. So you've got your road wheels there. You've got your three road wheels there. You've got some suspension parts. Obviously, we're probably not going to use these because we saw those on that other sprue. And then we've got our actual radius arms there. Hubcaps here, and they are those wheels there. They are the return rollers. So yeah, all very nice. You actually get 5 of these. There's 7 wheels per side, so you're going to end up with a couple of spares. And yeah, all very nice. And we can see that in there, in case you're not familiar with this kit or this sprue, you've got lovely tyre detail on the sides. Nothing on the actual tread itself. But there is some lovely bolt detail in there, which is very nice indeed. And then final sprue, as it were. This is sprue E2, and we get 2 of these, and this is sprockets and idlers. But I'm guessing we won't use those idlers. I'm guessing we'll use the sprockets. That's the disc that goes in between. And then we've got some, looks like little track links there, and then some little pins there. So yeah, as I say, you get 2 of those. Doubt very much we'll be using those idlers because we saw some idlers on another sprue. Put the clear parts there to one side. Right, now we're moving on to the little individual box you get within the box, and this is one of the launch tubes. Obviously you get 4 of these, and these are covered in great big sprue cut-off points. There's 1, 2, 3 of those, and then you've got the big ejector tabs. So they're obviously moulded that way round. So you've got a mould seam down here to take care of. Be careful not to remove like this line there that's supposed to be there. And you may find that part of the mould seam is supposed to be there as well. So be a little bit careful. But there doesn't seem to be any mould match or anything. So should be a very, very simple clean up with a sanding sponge. Just trim the sprue nibs off carefully because they're quite big, and if you use an old pair of cutters you like to rip a chunk of plastic out. But yeah, totally see-through or totally hollow single piece moulding with some nice detail on there. And as I say, obviously you get 4 of those. Then we come along to the actual top of the hull, and this is a lovely moulding. You get an idea of the size of this now. Let's have a look. It's actually 10 inches. Let's have a look at centimetres. Do I have a centimetre scale here? No, I don't. I do on this one. It's 26 by 9.5. So 26 centimetres by 9.5 centimetres. And yeah, quite large. We've got no real sort of roof detail or anything to speak of in there. Obviously all the side walls and front and everything are covered with detail. But yeah. And it says on here Onum 518, which that's the actual, that's the giant version, I believe. This is 09519, the Gladiator version. But obviously there's going to be a lot of generic parts between, you've got this one, the giant, and you've got the Gladiator and the giant loader, and then you've got the radar truck as well. So there's going to be a lot of very similar parts. And as you can see, this is slide moulded, so we've got lovely side detail on there. And beautiful detail on the top surfaces. So I'm going to give you a quick walk around this so you can get an idea of the surface detail on it. which, as I say, with a wash and a dry brush and stuff, it's going to really pop. And remember, we get photo etch mesh to go on here as well. We've got the slide molded details on the sides. Not sure what those round discs are, maybe someone can tell me. And you've got the crew access doors going around the front. See here, and if we notice, one of these tabs is broken off here, but I'm not going to worry about that because you have to cut them off anyway. And there we go. Very nice moulded in detail. The kit is covered in very nice moulded in detail. Here we've got the base. I was wondering if this is going to be a 2S7 chassis, but it's not. It's actually dedicated to this kit. So one website I looked at said that this vehicle had the 2S7 chassis. Another website I looked at said it had components of it, and I think this is actually longer in the front end. So, but that's just my opinion, not fact. So we've got hatch detail underneath, which is all nice, but you're never going to see it unless you pick your model up. Sides are very simple, but obviously we're going to add a lot of detail into there. And then in here we've obviously got no detail at all because the cab floor is a separate part and there's nothing to be seen in there anyway. So all nice. Something I did read, somebody said their hull was warped. And I just want to check to see if this one is actually straight. I need to grab a straight edge. Here he says, Mr. Prepared. And we'll see if this is straight. That looks pretty good to me. So luckily my hull's straight. So I think it was on Britain Modeler. I read a guy was building it and his hull was warped. So and it doesn't rock at all. A very slight rock in it, so it could probably do with a little gentle twist. So yeah, thing to do, what I'm going to do with mine, see what ride height needs to be, tack a couple of plastic strips on the bottom to get the right height so it's sat level and parallel, put some weights inside it, hold it down nice and square, and then put your arms in and bend them all down, or push them all down, set them in place so they're all touching the deck, and then you know you're going to get all wheels sat nice and flat in your tracks. What you don't want is the wheels to be up and down all over the place, because unfortunately the fit in there isn't very tight, apparently. Moving on here, we've got this is a slide molded part. This is the actual radar support, the radar column if you like, and it's got some lovely slide molded detail in here. We've got some there's an access panel there with some clamps. We've got some grill there, even got detail on that side. So Trumpeter must spend an absolute fortune. Their annual budget for tooling must be millions. And then I want to do this in order. So this is the other side of it. So that's going to be the front or the back of the radar section. So that's one of those things we would glue together first and then let the seams all dry, and then we can deal with it. And it will be nice and hard when we come to deal with it. So you can see that's a very nice looking assembly. Now that we've got our missiles, so the missiles actually come in four main body parts. You've got the part that I showed you on the sprue before that goes in the back. This is like an intermediate part. It doesn't have any peg in it. Yes, it does. It has a orientation peg in it, as does this one. So that's going to go like that. We've got a great big sprue nib on there. And I've got all my sprues sitting on top of my cutters, so I can't get that off. Yes, I can. So we just trim that one off, and then this is going to sit in there like so. So you can see you've got quite a sizable missile there, and then you obviously got an exhaust tube to go in the back. And then, as we said in the instructions when we were looking through, you've got fins that go in here, and you either have them folded over in the stow position or you have them open out in the in-flight position. So there we go. I mean, I don't know what you could use these for really, other than as I said, a standalone display. You could do something with you could have a diorama with an F-18 or something flying and have this just behind it or something. I don't know, but yeah. Nice that they're there. Not really quite sure what you do with them, but as I say, you get 4 of those. Again, these are slide molded, covered in injector pins. Just trim them off, get rid of the seam, and stick them together. So they're all very nice indeed. And then the final sprue, we've got a clear sprue. I'm not going to get out because I don't want it to get scratched. It's just basically our clear windscreen and our clear parts for the rest of it. Sorry, this is the windscreen and these are the doors. These are the side doors. And then we've got some light lenses there. So really nothing much to talk about on that sprue. Photo etch. Again, I'm not going to get it out because there's no point, but I will check you're not getting reflectivity. You've got 70 parts of photo etch on 2 frets, and you can see it's mainly made up of meshes. These are covers that go over air ducts. We've got some grilling there, handles. There's a few photo etch handles actually go on the inside on this one, and then going over there we've got another piece of ducting there, and then we've got some photo etch grill there, which is beautifully etched. You can see it's got the proper wire up and down crisscross bend in it. So yeah, very nice indeed. We get a set of window masks, which is cool. So it looks like we've got internal and external window masks, which is a nice touch. And they're just like normal masking tape by the look of things. And then finally, to end the review, we get a sheet of decals, Decals, and as you can see, we've got all the these are the warning signs, I'm guessing they are, for the actual missile launch tubes. We've got an instrument panel here. We've got some logos and stuff and some symbols. These stripes, I'm guessing they're all going to be for the launch tubes. Centre of gravity marks by the look of it. And then we've got some other little square data plaques there, and then some Russian information down here. So these are Trumpeter's own. They should be absolutely fine, nothing wrong with them at all. The whites look very white and look very solid as well, so they should be quite good to go on and not be opaque. So there we go, guys. That has been the review of the Trumpeter Russian s300v 9A-A3 surface to air missile system. And as I've said all through this review, you can also get the s300v 9A-A2 surface to air missile system. Biggest difference is you've got the 2 launch tubes with the bigger missiles. So if you want to build 2 models that sort of look different, but it's going to be a pretty repetitive build, I can tell you the whole lot is going to be pretty much the same except for the actual launcher, and then you've got the 2 larger tubes. So you know, I tend to not like building the same kit over and over again, so I'll probably just do this one. So thanks for watching. I'll say preemptively thanks for all your positive comments. I hope you've enjoyed the kind of new format of not rustling with bags and stuff, and also me doing a little bit of research beforehand and getting to know the kit a bit beforehand, rather than going through and misnaming parts and not knowing what this and that and the other is. So thanks for watching, hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you all soon. Oh, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody who's donated to the channel at Patreon and PayPal. Very much appreciated. I've had a very generous donation this week from a very kind gentleman in the United States, and I'm pretty much there. I think I need to go and get myself a camera now. I'm pretty much there to getting something really nice. So really nice in my opinion anyway. So I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.